Hello everyone, welcome to GGN. Today is Thursday, January 24th, 2013. I'm Darko. My website is ggnonline.com, and on YouTube my channels are ddarko2012 and ddarko2013. The bad news is, I'll start off with the bad news first, that's usually what I like to receive, is the links for yesterday's videos won't be included. Just the way it works, if I have quote technical issues and I can't get to it that night, then they usually don't get done. So, because I like to just keep moving here. With that being said, the good news is that my ddarko 2013 account is kind of back up and running, so I've been able to gain access to that. So you should start getting those in your subscription feed if you have a 2013 subscription. Anyways, you have this loopy fiasco gate. U.S. rapper pulled off stage over inauguration and anti-Obama rant. So I'm going to cover most of the economy, but I'll just cover these first couple articles. American rapper Loopy Fiasco was thrown off the stage by security guards as he performed a 40-minute anti-Obama song during a pre-inauguration event at the Washington, D.C. concert. 40-minute anti-Obama song. They actually... Okay, so yeah. But it says during the concert, the singer played a lengthy anti-war song and told the audience he didn't vote for Barack Obama. When he was told to move on to the next song, he refused, and a team of security guards came on the stage and told him to go. Someone asked, it's okay for Kanye West to diss George Bush, but it's wrong for Loopy Fiasco to question Obama's war policies. So... pretty big double standard. So Obama embraces progressive agenda in the second inaugural address. It's kind of interesting that they say that, he's going to start moving to a progressive, more liberal stance, right? You keep hearing that for a second inauguration, which would kind of imply what? That he was kind of like Bush, just exactly like Bush in his first term. So what does it mean for liberal policies? Who knows? We were talking about climate change and how at the Davos summit they were pushing again climate change and all the eco-terrorist type laws that are put in place. And I guess gun restrictions, the LGBT push, gay rights push. And we have Sarkozy's plans to dodge new 75% French tax rate by moving to London with his wife and setting up a £1 billion private equity fund. Fraud police found details of move and business plan and raid on home. Sarkozy is under investigation for corruption in France. He'll be the latest Frenchman to escape the potential top French tax rate of 75%. The 57-year-old who was ousted from office last June has amassed a fortune from £150,000 an hour public speaking engagements and is now said to be trying to raise capital from investors. Then moving on, we have ex-treasurer of Spain's PP had 22 million euros in Swiss banks. So the beleaguered government of Mariano Rajoy had been embarrassed by revelations that its party's former treasurer had a bank account in Switzerland containing up to 22 million. So he held a treasury post in the Conservative Popular Party in 08 and 09. He resigned because of an investigation into his part in a massive fraud network. Stepped down in 2010. Yahoo, Dell, Swell, Netherlands, 13 trillion tax haven. So these multinational corporations, especially Yahoo, has taken advantage of the law to quietly funnel hundreds of millions of dollars in global profits to islands or island subsidiaries, cutting its worldwide tax bill. The Yahoo arrangement, in the heart of a continent better known for social welfare than corporate welfare, has emerged as one of the most important tax havens for multinational corporations. Now, as a deficit-strapped Europe raises retirement ages and taxes on the working class, the Netherlands' role as a $13 trillion relay station on the global tax-avoiding network is prompting a backlash. So like a new Switzerland, I guess. It says, Assistant Attorney General admits on TV that in the United States, justice did not apply to the banks. So this Martin Smith says you gave a speech before the New York Bar Association. In that speech, you made a reference to losing sleep at night, worrying about what a lawsuit might result in a large financial institution. This Lanny Brower said, right. And then Martin Smith goes on and says, is that really the job of a prosecutor to worry about anything other than simply pursuing justice? So Brewer replies by saying, well, I think I'm pursuing justice, and I think the entire responsibility of the department is to pursue justice. But in any given case, I think And it says, I think I and prosecutors around the country being responsible should speak to regulators, should speak to experts, because if I bring a case against institution A, and as a result of bringing that case, there's some huge economic effect, if it creates a ripple effect so that suddenly counterparties and other financial institutions or companies that had nothing to do with this are affected badly, it's a factor we need to know and understand. So this is the, we've talked about corporatism. I mean, this is exactly what he's doing here. I know this is probably a horrible example or definition, but it's like socialism for these big, huge corporations, where there's not much competition, and where all the profits are privatized and the losses are, and nationalize or socialize the losses. And we're supposed to be grateful for this. That's the irony, is that as consumers we always lose, as citizens we always lose. We have no say over it. And like it says up here at the top, that really, it talks about politics and stuff like that. It's not Republicans in politics, it's not Democrats in politics, it's money in politics. Ted Kaufman summarizes that it was very disturbing to him that that was never raised at any time during the discussions. Goes on and says, this is not the job of a prosecutor to worry about the health of the banks, and in my opinion, job of the prosecutors is to prosecute criminal behavior. It's not to lie awake at night and kind of decide the future of banks. To date, not one senior Wall Street executive has been held criminally liable by the Department of Justice for activities related to the financial crisis. So, and the thing is, of course, is what the ones like the Security Exchange Commission, they only go after people. Those are shakedowns when they don't pay enough of bribes, enough of bribe money to the government or these departments. Then they get a shakedown, right? But if you pay them off, you'll be all right. CEO of JPMorgan says, you don't need to know how banking works. It's like an airliner engine, too complex to explain. Just shut up and pay us. So Jamie Dimon in Davos, Switzerland today, explaining why people don't need to know what's going on in the banking world. He says it's too complex. Just know that their fee comes from managing this ball of financial confusion, and that's all you need to know. So it says there, don't you feel better? I mean, it's not like the world bailed out the whole banking system or anything. We should have faith, right? So, and I said bailed out, but like I said, this is to keep it going, right? This is all interconnected, like I was saying yesterday with globalization. It's for a strategic purpose, so that no one could actually be independent and sovereign. Again, it seems nice and lovey-dovey, like socialism or something, but it's not. It's pretty bad. I mean, you look at these world trade agreements, they exploit people, and they protect corporations. I mean, I think it was actually one of the banks was going to sue. One of the banks that received, quote, bailouts, basically who got paid for doing a bad job or for carrying out fraud. They're going to sue the American people, the taxpayers. Then you have other heads of banks like Jamie Dimon saying, oops, sorry about that, nothing else we can do. Goldman Sachs CEO Lloyd Blankfein gets 75% raise, says a report. So it says, angry about your paycheck shrinking this year because of the payroll tax cut expired. Well, this year you should cheer right up, as Goldman Sachs CEO just got a 75% raise. Made $21 million last year, including $2 million salary and about $20 million bonus. The bonus includes $5.6 million in cash. So also nearly double the paltry $11.5 million that Jamie Dimon, JPMorgan Chase took home. That article, of course, came out after this article from January 17th. Goldman bankers set to receive huge bonuses as businesses' profits rise. The Telegraph reports that bankers at Goldman Sachs are set to receive huge bonuses after the bank is believed to have enjoyed a strong finish in 2012. Then followed by that, Goldman bankers get rich betting on food prices as millions are starving. Says bank criticized for making £250 million after destructive spikes in global food market. That's right, that's what they always do. So, but it says they made more than £250 million last year by speculating on food staples, reigniting the controversy over banks profiting from the global food crisis. Well, that's what they do. They profit off of all kinds of crises. In fact, a lot of times you'll see that that all of these. That's why it's one huge corporations with all these different complexes, because they thrive off these crises, whatever they may be, financial, political, I mean, this same company was betting against investments that their customers are holding during the housing crisis. So, But it's stuff like this that gets me when you hear people talking about how there's not enough food and there's too many people. When you have companies like this that are speculating on food prices and food staples and stuff like that. And I don't know the exact details of this. I can go back and look, but the article's been out for at least 2-3 years now about Goldman Sachs looking into basically betting against people dying. So you can get an investment or make money or profit off people's life insurance policies by them dying sooner. Then withdrawn is $114 billion from big U.S. banks. More than $114 billion exited the biggest U.S. banks this month, and nobody's quite sure why. The Federal Reserve released data on the assets and liabilities of commercial banks every Friday. They say the culprit is the expiration of the Transaction Account Guarantee Program, the federal effort to, quote, it says here, shore up the country's non-gigantic banks during the 2008 financial crisis. That's when I call it, it was the great wealth consolidation operation by international banks and elites and stuff like that, corporations. And so shoring up means that all the little banks got punished and a lot of them got shut down, and big banks just swallowed each other up like the predatory entities that they are. They said big banks are considered too big to fail, while smaller ones were vulnerable to runs. So the TAG program backstopped their deposit bases by temporarily offering unlimited insurance on money kept in non-interest-bearing accounts, and the guarantee ended on December 31st. Oldest bank in the world plunges, halted as chairman resigns in aftermath of latest derivatives fiasco. The oldest bank in the world, this Italy's Monte Paschi, or BMPS, is engaged in derivatives with the German and Japanese banks in order to save itself during the financial crisis. Says the offsetting losses are now coming due. And today, amid growing outcry over the deal, the former head of the BMPS has resigned. Says during the period, Mario Draghi, director of Bank of Italy, says BMPS accumulated what is obviously undocumented derivatives positions to intentionally obscure losses. So once again, years later, the truth comes out, and of course, we would expect no one to go to jail. Yeah, worldwide unemployment soars, young workers most vulnerable, says the UN report. Global unemployment is a record high in the wake of the financial, again, I hate saying this, I should just say what it is, right? Wealth consolidation operation or financial crisis. A rise in joblessness of 5.1 million is expected in 2013, impacting the world's youth hardest in the climate of stifling austerity and economic instability. They stress the numbers and not convey the full extent of the crisis because, quote, labor force participation has fallen dramatically, masking the true extent of the job crisis. That's right, just the people are gone out of the workforce. That's it. They've given up or something. So 26% unemployment. Spain's unemployment rate shoots up to a record 26.2%. And an issue that I covered just recently, jobs being obliterated by technology, says 5 years after the start of the great wealth consolidation operation, here we go, the toll is terrifyingly clear. Millions of middle-class jobs have been lost in developed countries the world over. It says the situation is getting worse as most of the jobs will never return and millions more are likely to vanish as well, say experts who study the labor market. What's more, these jobs aren't just being lost to China and other developing countries, and they aren't just factory work. Increasingly, jobs are disappearing in the service sector, home to 2/3 of all workers, and they're being obliterated by technology. It says the software that runs computers and an array of other machines and devices becomes more sophisticated and powerful and capable of doing more efficiently tasks that humans have always done. For decades, science fiction warned of a future when we would be the architects of our own obsolescence, right? You're obsolete, like the Twilight Zone, replaced by our machines, and AP analysis finds that the future has arrived. So, like I said, that's what was always promised back in the day when they talked about technocracy and great North American Union and globalization is going to be good and bringing in using technology and machines and you wouldn't have to work. Well, when you don't work, and or you don't have an income, you're considered a useless eater, which is probably why we're seeing, that correlation between eugenics and cancer and diabetes rates and all that stuff, along with the increase of singularity in technology. So that goes with this article that I covered from December 9th, 2012, U.S. Apple factory may be robot city. They're investing $100 million next year to build a highly automated factory. says, but success will mean holding down costs, and to do so, Apple will likely rely heavily on automation. This is GGN. I'm Darko. Thank you.